Hi, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you today, but I am here in spirit via this video. As you can see, you guys are going to be learning, or I guess relearning and reviewing, about two variable relationships today. But before that, let's talk about a couple of things. First thing is your last math starter of the 21-22 school year, which is very, very, very exciting. I'm sorry that I couldn't be here to do it with you, but let's take a look at it. A student drew a triangle on a coordinate plane. The coordinates of each vertex are shown below. We have -4, -5, -4, 1, and 3, 5, and those are coordinates A, B, and C. We are being asked what is the length in units of side AC of the triangle. So we want to go from point A to point C. What I notice is, let's write down the coordinates first actually, that the y coordinates are the same. They are both 5 units below the x-axis, I should say. We're going to look at the x coordinates. We want to go from -4 to 3. And we need to think about how many hops is that. Let's put 0 in the middle here. We would go from -4 to 0 would be 4 hops. And then from 0 to 3 would be 3 hops. So that is a total of 7 hops or units. So this would be B. So the equivalent length of side AC is 7. This is because, again, to go from -4 to 0 is 4, and then 0 to 3 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. Therefore, my response is 7. Up 1 second.
Students, there will be no voice tennis today after school. Attention students, there will be no voice tennis today after school.
Getting interrupted by announcements. It is just like I am here. All right, so please take a minute and go fill in your math starter, and then make sure that you turn it in. If you already filled it out but didn't turn it in, again, make sure that it is filled out and submitted, your final starter sheet of the year. I will pause to do that now. All right, so now let's get into what we're going to do. Actually, a few announcements. Again, there was no formal homework this week. Any missing work or quiz corrections or incompletes, any of that is due on Monday. We will be presenting your lessons next week. We went over that in class yesterday, which days, which groups are going. The luau dance is a week from today, next Friday. When I am back on Monday, you guys can pay for your tickets. When leaving class today, please make sure chairs are pushed in, put back the headphones, clean up the floor. 6D, since you guys are the last ones in there, it is very important that the AC gets shut off, the windows are closed, and you shut off all the lamps and lights. I am really counting on you guys to do that, please. I do not want to come into a mess on Monday morning. All right, now let's get into what we're going to do today. So, as I already said, we're going to be talking about two variable relationships, and that is when one variable affects another. For instance, if you water a plant, it grows. If you work a number of hours, you make money. If you do your work, your grade goes up. The more time you drive, the further you go. We can represent these relationships with tables, graphs, and equations. So let's take a look how that's going to be done. We are going to be thinking about how do I go from one thing to the next thing. All right. So let's look at this situation here. You make $20 for each hour of work. Fill in the table to show how much money, or Y, you make for X hours of work. Well, this says we make $20 for each hour of work. So for 1 hour, we would make 20. 2 hours, we would make 20 more, so that's 40. And then if we work another hour for 3 hours, we would make 20 more, which is 60. 4 hours would be 80 if we keep going up 20 each hour, and 5 hours would be 100. Again, because for each hour, we get 20 more. So that would be our table. Again, each hour we get 20 more. So let's use that table. So I'm just going to fill it in again quickly. It was 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. I should have put 0 in here, but obviously for 0 hours, we would make 0 money because we hadn't worked yet. Now we are going to use that table to write an equation to find y. So if we're finding y, that means we want a y equals equation. The amount of money earned for X hours of work. So we want to ask the question, how do we get from X to Y? That is the question that we are being asked. And if I look here, I know that 1 times 20 is 20, 2 times 20 is 40, 3 times 20 is 60, and so on. I am seeing a pattern that I multiply my X times 20. So my equation would be y equals X times 20, or the formal way would be y equals 20x. Because remember, when you have a variable and a coefficient together, you can just write them without multiplication. Y equals 20x is the same as y is 20 times x. So that would be our equation. And again, because to get from x to y, we multiply by 20. Now we're going to graph this 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. And then again, as I said, we always start at 0, 0, because when we work 0 hours, we don't make any money. All right, I need to go. For 1 hour, we make $20. So I'm going to plot that here. 2 hours, we make $40. So I'm going to plot that there. For 3 hours, we make $60. 4 hours, we make $80. And then I can't fit the 5 hours on here, but 100 would be the next. If we notice, this makes a nice straight line. All two variable relationships make a nice straight line. So let's write that down here. Always makes a straight line. That is something that's going to actually be really important to remember for 7th grade. So that is what our graph would look like. All right, so I don't know why that says 1 and 1. This should say 1 and 2. Okay, we're still with the same situation. You make $20 for each hour of work. Use your equation from part B, and that was y equals 20x, or the money equals 20 times the hours, is what we discovered in part B. How many hours would you need to work to make $400? Let's sub in $400. 400 equals 20 times the number of hours, or 20x. We know that to undo this multiplication, we're going to work backwards, and we're going to divide. Times 20 divided by 20 cancels out. Now over here, let's do 400 divided by 20. 20 does not go into 4, but it goes into 40 twice. 20 times 2 is 40. Bring down a 0. 20 goes into 0, 0 times. So you would need to work 20 hours, because 20 hours times $20 per hour would give you $400. All right, you worked for 15 hours. How much money did you make? So we're looking for the money, and that is 20 times the number of hours, which is going to be 15. 20 times 15. 2 times 15 is 30, and then add the 0, which would be $300. So if you worked for 20 hours, you would make $300. And again, we're multiplying here because we know the hours and we want the money. And number one, we divided because we knew the money and wanted the hours. So we had to work backwards. All right, and that wraps up that first situation. Now let's go to the next situation. You drive, oh wait, no, that's not what I wanted. A hurricane is traveling at a constant rate shown in the graph. Use the graph to fill in the table. All right, I see here that in 1 hour, the hurricane traveled 8 miles. In 2 hours, the hurricane traveled 16 miles. In 3 hours, it traveled 24. In 4 hours, it traveled 32. So that is my table. Again, I'm looking at the different points: hours, distance, plotting points on the graph. All right, using the table from part A, so I'm just going to fill that in really quick. Write an equation to find y, the amount of miles the hurricane travels in X hours. All right, we see here that from 1 to 8 is times 8. 2 to 16 is also times 8. 3 to 24 is times 8. 4 to 32 is also times 8. So I'm seeing a pattern here that to get the miles, you take the hours and multiply by 8. Miles is y, miles is x, hours is x times 8. Y equals x times 8 can also be written as y equals 8x. That is the proper way to write it, with the coefficient and the variable together. All right. We are now going to use that equation from part B, which again was y equals 8x, to make the answer the following. If the hurricane traveled 96 miles, how many hours did it travel for? Again, and we knew that miles equals 8 times hours. So we're going to sub in 96 miles, and we're going to find the hours. Since we are multiplying, we're going to work backwards by dividing. 96 divided by 8 is 12 hours. Because, again, 12 hours times 8 miles an hour is 96. So it would have traveled for 12 hours. Now let's look at number 2. If the hurricane traveled for 14 hours, how many miles did it travel? Again, we know that miles is 8 times the hours, or y equals 8 times x. Miles is 14 hours. Hours is 14. And we don't know the miles. It's asking how many miles. 8 times 14, if you don't know your 14s off the top of your head, you can come over here. 8 times 4 is 32. 2 goes down, 3 goes up. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 3 is 11. So it would have traveled 112 miles. All right, and that is going to bring us to the end of the video. You guys are going to do your practice on Linkit. If you go to hamden.linkit.com/student, or you can just click Linkit on our homepage, it will bring you right there. You're going to sign in with Google. There is no code needed. All you need to do is go to that link and then sign in with Google. You are then going to see Subwork 6322. Please remember, you need to explain your answers using race. You're going to do your best. Just try your hardest. That's all I'm looking for. You may listen to music as long as you are productive. And then also be sure to submit. Both this Edpuzzle and the Linkit are for a grade. As a reminder, when there's a couple minutes left, just make sure that we pack up, clean up the floor, push in our chairs, all of the stuff that you guys know to do that we do every day. And again, 6D, it is very important that we make sure the air is turned off, the lamps are turned off, and the windows are shut, please. All right, you guys enjoy. Again, work hard, be good for the sub, and then have an awesome weekend. See you Monday. Bye.